our Star Wars show, has been canceled. I'm gonna be transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and when no one had even seen it. And that's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language.
So it has been a couple of weeks, ladies and gentlemen, since the greatest show the world has ever seen, Star Wars The Acolyte, was cancelled, and yet even still after its cancellation, the drama continues. And it continues because instead of the people involved with this total garbage taking accountability for it, the fans, once again, they've become the target. And I say once again because when the show was going on and the fans were airing their concerns, their frustrations, the media, they attacked them, and we got headlines like this. Star Wars' biggest problem is the fans. The Acolyte hate proves the Star Wars fandom is just as toxic as ever. Star Wars toxic fans keep proving they are the worst. No, the mainstream media continue to prove they are the worst. And if you agree with me on that one, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video around, and let's continue. Yeah, it's not Disney's fault. It's not Lucasfilm's fault. It's not Kathleen Kennedy's fault. It's not Leslie Headland's fault or anybody else's fault that this show did terribly. It's the fans. I tell you now, if you don't take anything else from this video, take this message. They want you to accept the crap you're given, and if you disagree with it, you're the bad one, you're the mean and hateful one. That's how this goes. You must accept absolutely everything. And Amandla Stenberg, the star of the show, the actor who didn't pull any other facial expressions during this whole series, I thought it was just a cardboard cutout during some points. That should give hope to all you aspiring actors. If she can make it, so can you, trust me. But she has come out and attacked the fans and said The Acolyte being cancelled was not a huge shock after rampage of vitriol from toxic Star Wars fans. Once again, it's the toxic Star Wars fans. How about, I don't know, just a little suggestion to anybody at Disney or Lucasfilm? Stop making garbage. Stop making crap. Pretty simple. Amandla Stenberg isn't too surprised that The Acolyte has come to an end on Disney+. The lead of the Star Wars series shared a statement on her Instagram story Wednesday reflecting on the rampage of hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol they faced after being cast. It's always that, the bigotry. Get a grip. I'm going to be transparent and say it's not a huge shock for me, Stenberg begins in the video. There has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and no one had even seen it. That's when we started experiencing a rampage, I would say, of hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. What do you want? A violin? Do you think the show shouldn't be criticized? Do you think nobody should say a bad thing about the show? I mean, everybody involved with this probably thought it was the greatest thing ever made. But why were the fans, even before this was released, criticizing what was going on? Well, we got headlines like this back in 2021. Leslie Headland provides insight into her upcoming female-centric Star Wars series, The Acolyte. The show had previously been rumored to be female-centric by Variety in April 2020. Their sources specifically described it as female-centric and that it would take place in a different part of the Star Wars timeline than other projects. And Leslie Headland said herself, all joking aside, I think an inclusive space means an inclusive space. Yes, inclusivity, diversity, the buzzwords that we all absolutely love to hear. But at the same time, I think that just because something has a female protagonist doesn't mean it's only meant for women, she added. And with that, again, in 2021, it was reported new Star Wars series to bring desperately needed queerness to a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars The Acolyte will reflect showrunners' own queer identity. Yeah, and I'll be honest here, because honesty is something this society desperately needs, and I really don't care what these woke liberals have to say. People are tired of seeing this stuff in the shows they watch. Pretty simple. Female-centric shows with woke agendas in general is something people do not want to consume, and it's not controversial to say that. Call me mean, call me hateful, call me a bigot, do I care?
Absolutely not.
It's the truth. There is a reason why these new shows who go down this road aren't doing well whatsoever, and people just roll their eyes every time they see it. You can't tell people all the time, oh, you're in the wrong for thinking this way. No, and if that wasn't bad enough, let's remind ourselves of that very hard to watch interview where Leslie Headland was talking about The Acolyte being the gayest Star Wars. Yes, sit back and take it all in.
I want to ask you both, because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And Was this the fun element of?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it.
Yet again, it's the fans who are at fault here. How dare the fans criticize anything these days? How dare you? You're not allowed to have an opinion. Now, whilst the build-up to this show was heavily criticized and people were worried about the direction the Acolyte was heading in, when the episodes finally dropped, oh boy, were they terrible. Let's be honest here, all it consisted of was bad writing, plots that really didn't make sense, terrible acting, pronouns sprinkled in along with cameos that didn't need to happen, lesbian space witches, and that's pretty much it. But taking all of that into account, and again, it's not the show's fault, it's your fault, let's take a look at Amandla Stenberg talking about all of this in her Instagram story. Take a watch.
There are many folks out there that I want to acknowledge and I want to show appreciation and love and support for. So that's why I'm hopping on here to talk about this, which is that our Star Wars show has been canceled. And I'm gonna be transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and when no one had even seen it. And that's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. You'll just feel a lot of levity and joy around the fact that I got to experience it, and that people loved it, and that people were so responsive. I poured through a lot of different iterations of fan art and ship art and fan theories and things that were just so beautiful and filled my heart with joy. And I just want to let those people know out there who supported us in that way, and supported us vocally despite and in the face of all of the vitriol that we received and the targeted attack, I would say, we received by the alt-right. Just that you were deeply loved and appreciated, and it made this job all the worthwhile for me, and it made all of the challenging elements of it completely worthwhile for me. Maybe the last thing I want to say on the subject is that we all exist in the context of all in which we live. But I'm serious. It's not lost on me how the way that these events have unfolded is also due to the hyper-divisiveness of the time that we live in, that is driven, I would say at this point, by echo chambers of thought and algorithms that reinforce our biases. And I think that applies to everybody. But I think that in a particular sect of people, it manifests as a lot of fear for what is changing and a lot of hatred for anything that is other. And I would challenge us all, and challenge myself, to continue questioning what it is that I digest, and think critically about what shapes it. And let's vote, y'all. Let's vote.
You know, it just makes you realize how self-entitled a lot of people today have become. They think they can do nothing wrong. And I genuinely think this is because throughout their lives, people have told them, you know, they've done nothing wrong. They're scared to tell them anything that might upset them. They won't criticize them. So when something inevitably does happen, because they've been wrapped up in cotton wool their whole lives, they flip out. Oh, how dare you not like this? How dare you not like Star Wars The Acolyte? It's the best thing. You're mean. You're hateful. How dare this show get an 18% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes? You know, everybody can't be in the wrong. You know, a lot of people are sharing the same opinion here, but that's what the victim mindset will do. It will convince you that you and people who you like perhaps are all correct, and everybody else must be in the wrong. But it's not only Amandla Stenberg who has come out and spoken out about all this controversy. Other cast members have also done the same thing, including Leslie Headland's wife. The Acolyte cast speaks out about its cancellation, and they're not amused. Oh no. Even the cast members are chiming in about the Acolyte's cancellation, with reactions ranging from bewilderment to clear annoyance. The first is the diplomatic but confused Lee Jung-jae, one of the stars of the first season, who was, spoilers, killed off in the finale. Even if he wasn't returning, he wanted the show to live on, and was stunned it wasn't going to. Here he is speaking to EW. Personally speaking, I really love Leslie's writing. I thought that she was a great writer and director who was very talented in the storytelling, as well as creating characters and creating meaningful structures within the story. So I was actually personally really looking forward to watching a season 2 with her at the helm. Yeah, you might be on your own with that one, but if you enjoyed it that much, you know, more power to you. Then there's Rebecca Henderson, who didn't just play Vanessa on the show, she's also married to Leslie Headland, its showrunner. While she did not comment directly, she posted a number of stories clipping things like Rolling Stones' story about Star Wars being able to survive its worst fans, and a tweet about which part of the fan base Disney listened to and how Disney should stop caving to pressure and stand your ground. I mean, when has Disney ever done anything right anyway? This might be the first time, but you all can't be mad because ultimately, number one, people didn't like the show, and number two, people didn't watch it. It's that simple. Just accept that this was trash and everyone can move on. Instead of blaming the people who use their time, energy and money to watch the stuff Disney and Lucasfilm create, why not just ask, right, well, let's try to understand why people didn't like this instead of calling them out. But there's none of that because they don't believe people shouldn't like something and they think their opinion is the only one that matters. It's like if I made a series of bad YouTube videos and you guys voice your opinion, am I going to sit there and go, oh, it's their fault, they're the ones to blame, I can't believe they're not watching, whatever? No, I take accountability. So if I can do that, I think these people involved with this show can do the same. And it just shows, you know, people again are tired of the same stuff in every single show. I don't know what's so hard to understand about this, but it just seems like people at Disney, Lucasfilm want to continue down this road. They want to force this down people's throats and people are just rejecting it. And then when they reject it, when people get mad over the same stuff, they blame the fans, they blame the people who are not watching. It doesn't make any sense. But leave your thoughts down below. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think it's the fans' fault that this show was cancelled, or do you think it was Disney's and Lucasfilm's fault because it was terrible and people didn't watch? I'd like to know. And whilst you're doing that, if you have enjoyed, once again, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video, follow my socials down below in the description. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.